Any game with the title of Scum deserves our attention. After all, a game that refers to itself as being low, vile or worthless must surely be made by a bunch of lunatics. Or do they perhaps mean that as you are playing prisoners released into a survival arena that they are in fact the Scum? So if that is the case, does that mean that she is in fact Scum?
I want to see.
No, you do not!
Like all standard survival games, it starts with you escaping a bondage and discipline session with your crazy girlfriend. You know who I'm talking about. You remember that time you couldn't sit for 2 days and had to ask for a stand-up desk at work. Don't forget to subscribe and like if that sounds familiar to you. Well, in the nick of time, you free your hands and pull your ripcord, and then you start your mission to survive this game arena, which by the way has the most changeable weather ever known, and a bunch of zombies. Well, they are technically called puppets, but that term creates flashbacks to the assault and battery court case against your former girlfriend, and when your lawyer used a puppet and pointed to its private areas and asked you, did she stick a pin here?
This grown man has his entire hand up my butt!
Hey, get your hand out the little man's butt!
So, zombies it is. So, how do you play this game? Well, I highly recommend the following. To stave off the imminent hunger, forage for food in the forest and gather all the bright mushrooms and gobble them down as quick as possible as they are stacked full of nutrients. But they will in fact shortly transport you to an alternate reality where you see lovely rainbow colours. Hear strange things. But it culminates when you become a giant and get visited by lots and lots of friendly little chaps, and well, the fun just doesn't stop. After the fun turns to extreme annoyance, you will find a quiet spot to lie down and let your friends do their worst as your life slowly slips away due to the psychedelic mushrooms you've consumed. When you escape another bondage session, also known as a respawn, your approach will change. So you'll not stuff pretty fungi in your mouth, but will further your career as a thief and loot people's houses, probably what got you here in the first place. And just like this, you will have the beginning of a forest stockade. Now, if you are super lucky and have some virtual friends like me, you may have even persuaded one of them to help you out. Yes.
Beautiful.
We're getting there. As a lot of time will be spent cutting down trees and making planks, so having that slave labour is very useful. But as time progresses, you may rethink your partner's role, as they will probably cause more problems than they are worth, forcing you to do a cost-effectiveness evaluation on their continued participation in your adventure. After all, you have big plans and you don't want to be weighed down by baggage. But with 2 clicks of my thick fingers, you will end up like this. The essentials are at least 1 car. The state of it doesn't matter as long as it's drivable. Some walls, a cabin, lots of boxes and gun racks. This is the Scum endgame. Well, not really, but make sure you don't watch any other YouTubers' Scum videos, as I want you to leave with the impression that I'm a god. But how do you get to this end game state? Well, let's look into your darkest memories and play a sequence of barely linked clips sewn together by witty scripting to show your sad journey. Your very early game consists of running and looting, drinking and eating, and not much else, but progression will be driven by your realization that money counts for everything, like it does in life. And short of being a gangster, you're going to have to earn it the hard way by finding broken down cars and pushing them to the trader and selling them. Not once, but over and over and over again. After all, we have so much time in life that this does not feel like a shocking waste of it. Not at all. Eventually you will get lucky and find a decent car, and then you are away. A game changer, as the massive map suddenly gets smaller and you will whittle away hours driving its paved and not paved roads and perfecting your drifting and cornering. And this is surprisingly fun. With this increased mobility allowing you to reach even deeper into those secret forbidden areas, and with a strengthened sense of purpose, your cabin will start to get pretty full of gear. And then hunting that better loot, you will start to brave your first sentry mechs, which probably would go okay if your teammate wasn't such a klutz and endlessly kept taking 50 caliber bullets to the chest, and drew zombies to him like flies to shit. Get out! Run! Dan! 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 Making everything so much very harder. Not to worry, with your friends' help you eventually loot up some high tier places and get, well, not much really. Broken guns, a bit of ammo. Yeah, better than a punch to the head, but not by much. So to take it up a notch, you introduce your bullet-seeking companion to the bunkers. They may be guarded by mechs, but sharp timing and swift footwork will get around them without too many issues.
Why am I sitting up?
Don't press Alt. Don't press Alt, get down, get down! Oh God, where did Dan? Get in here! Inside the bunkers, you will both tentatively kill the zombies and loot everything you can find. I mean, the effort to get into these, they are guarded by robots, the loot must be at next level. But you would be wrong. The pickings you discover are pretty slim. Slim enough to make you even wonder why you bothered. So then you start to turn your attention to the cargo drops. And as the server is pretty lonely, these are mostly yours for the taking. Just make sure you get out in time or you will get a boo-boo even your mum couldn't bandage. But these drops, you turn out to have some pretty big scores, and your game will become get the drop. This will by far and away be the best way to get gear. But on a full server, this would clearly not be the case because everyone else will have the idea, aka shooting gallery.
Okay guys, we're going over to the shooting gallery and we're gonna have some fun.
So after gearing up, you may venture back into the bunkers and misjudge it all. Die, then sprint back to your body only to have an out-of-body experience and discover that the mesh gods have demanded a sacrifice of your best gear. Scratch 10 hours of work right there. Not to worry, some cargo drops will make you feel better, so you park a safe distance away and loot one up, and then realise that work has been texting you for the past 20 minutes, so you best put your shirt on, fire up your laptop and join that Zoom call, albeit a little bit late. But when you get back, well, fortunately you left the game recording and you can see what happened. Apparently your car is made of balsa wood. In frustration, you scavenge what you can and start drinking heavily from the beer that you got from the cargo drop. Why not wash away those sorrows and reminisce over all that you have lost? 6 bottles of Scum's finest beer, then 2 bottles of vodka later, you see that getting slaughtered in Scum equals blurry vision and seeing double. I can live with that. However, pulling yourself together, you decide to run off the effects of the booze, as that's what you do in real life. Nip down to the park and put in a few laps. Always works wonders for the hangover. In your drunken stupor, you will have a revelation, a realization, a new sensible goal to explore this mysterious building, the radiation zone, also known as the failed nuclear power plant, located here. Will there be an abandoned Ferris wheel, bumper cars, and empty swimming pool like all radiation zones have in survival games? I wonder why. But with your limited knowledge of the half-life of uranium, you realise you may need a hazmat suit, and yep, where do you find those? In selected bunkers, for f***'s sake. So back you go again. And when you locate those mysterious lockers, by using a Scum map, you will realise that you will need some skills to get at them, including advanced lockpicks and some solid finger dexterity. So you get to practicing and searching for those elusive lockpicks as you realise you can't purchase those bastards. I mean, is this game trying to make things hard? Hundreds of locker searches later, you will have the gear required and venture back in again, and dozens of attempts at that locker, the moment finally comes. With the hazmat suit in hand, you make a beeline for the nuclear power plant and then freak out as it gets all steamy. Jump out of your car and put on your yellow M&M suit and walk forward. As you trudge onwards, you will notice the landscape is starting to look like your dad's neglected garden and not the one under his belt line. As you turn on your Geiger counter, shit gets real and your nerves start to ratchet up. As you move inwards, your aim becomes to look down into the reactor core, probably that smoky part up there. But honestly, the music, the atmosphere, it's freaking you out. Carefully, you dispose of the odd zombie and jump at the weird snarls and growls around. 10, 20, 30 minutes passes as you try to find your way to the core, similar to when you first tried for third base. In your college baseball team, I mean, of course. It is a fumbling, wandering experience with nerves frayed and the constant question, am I going the right way? Do not use your gun as you know that you will be swarmed by zombies. But then... oh shit. That's that. Welcome to Scum. If you got this far, it is a mandatory sub, otherwise I'll settle for a like. I'll see you in the next chapter.